Hi, welcome to my very late January wrap-up. It is now February 8th, 9th? It's February, and I think it's the 8th. I don't know. I'm all screwed up because I just got back from vacation yesterday, late last night, and which is why the wrap-up's late, but my brain doesn't know what's going on yet. So, January wrap-up. I read 13 books in January and DNFed 2. I'm new to Fable, so Fable thinks that I read 14 because I didn't realize that there was a little do not finish tab that you could check. But one of the ones that was DNF, I almost finished it, and I'll explain that, but I don't mind it counting as finished because I was so close to finishing it when I DNF'd it. So technically, truthfully, read 13, DNF'd 2. By the time I get to my year-end wrap-up, I won't remember that there's one extra book that shouldn't actually be counted. So if you ask Fable, I read 14. In reality, 13. But anyway, I digress. Without further ado, here is my January wrap-up. So the first one we'll start off with is the DNF that is counted as finished, and that is The Return by Nicholas Sparks. Now, I love Nicholas Sparks. His books are amazing, okay? But this one, not amazing. Not great. I really disliked both of the characters. I thought they were really childish. I don't want to spoil anything, but especially the female main character, I really questioned her decisions. Yeah, I really did not like her. This book did not capture me. I started out reading it on my Kindle, and I was about halfway through, and I was like, I cannot with these characters anymore. I'm going to finish it on audio because books that are not like my favorite tend to be better and easier to get through on audio for me. So I had some Spotify listen hours left for January. And so I decided to finish this book using those. However, with 2 chapters left in the book, I ran out of my audio time on Spotify for January. And I thought, I'm not enjoying this book. I don't care about those last 2 chapters. So I DNF'd it. Yeah, extremely close to finishing. I had like 30 minutes left of listen time. It was ridiculously close to ending. But whatever. It's a DNF. I'm trying to read all of Nicholas Sparks' work because I do love him. I only have one left, actually. But yeah, this one was not it for me. And I got far enough that I feel comfortable counting this as read in my Nicholas Sparks journey. So yeah, not a great start. That one wasn't actually the first one that I read in the month. But I don't know. I started this list late. I decided I was going to do a wrap up late, like halfway through the month. So some of the orders might be a little bit off because of that, but whatever. In the future, it'll be better. So the next one that I actually read is The Locked Door by Frida McFadden. I gave this one 4 stars. I'm a Frida fan. I know not everybody is. She's not for everyone, but I love a good popcorn thriller. So, yeah, 4 stars. This is about Nora. Her father is a serial killer, and she sees a lot of him in herself. So when a copycat comes to light years later, she does not trust anyone around her, including herself. So, interesting concept. I read this one on Kindle. It is available on Kindle Unlimited. Most of Frida's work is. So if you have Kindle Unlimited, you do not have to pay for this book. We always love that. If ever a book that I have read is available on Kindle Unlimited, I will let you know. That way, if you have it, you don't have to worry about paying for it. So next, we have another Nicholas Sparks, The Wish. I actually had picked this one up a couple of years ago and DNFed it, a soft DNF, obviously, because I came back to it, but it was not the right time for me to read it because this deals with Maggie and she's going through the end stages of cancer. And when I first started trying to read this, I didn't know much about it, and I had a family member that was in the end stages of cancer. It was a bad time to read this. So I soft DNFed it for a long time, and I decided to do it on audio. This is what used up the first chunk of my Spotify listening hours. I gave it 3.75. It's very different from Nicholas Sparks's normal work, in my opinion. It deals with Maggie's love in the past and then her current going through cancer, like I said, in stages. So yeah, it wasn't my favorite, but I think it's still worth a read. It was very good. Yeah, 3.75. I don't remember if I said that or not. So the next book was actually a physical book. I didn't read many physical books this month. Normally I read way more, but because of the vacation, I did a lot more on Kindle because I didn't want to pack any books. I just brought my Kindle with me. But anyway, first physical book, Pride and Prejudice. This was a reread. I've read this so many times. I don't even know how many. And I recently thrifted this copy. It's a Barnes & Noble Classics copy. And so I wanted to read it physically because I've read it on my Kindle, but I haven't read it physically in like a really long time, like since high school. So I picked this up, and yeah, it's always a 5-star. Love it. And next was actually my book club pick for the month. So shout out to my book bestie that picked this, because A Man Called Uva, I know it says A Man Called Otto, this is just the movie cover edition, but A Man Called Uva by Friedrich Bachmann. This was my first not reread 5-star of the year. I loved it. I believe that Friedrich is Swedish. I could be wrong, but I know this is a translated work, and a lot of people I've seen don't love the writing style. I liked it a lot. It was heartwarming. It was funny. The cat, hilarious. I love the cat. If you know, you know, the cat was great. I did this one on Kindle. This one is also on Kindle Unlimited. Not much of Friedrich Bachmann's work is, so I'm glad this one was. I definitely want to read more of his stuff. Yeah, first 5-star book club pick. Awesome. On a less exciting note, the next one was The Last Party by A.R. Torre. I'm not sure how you pronounce the name. This one was a 2.5 for me. I did it on audio. It's available on Kindle Unlimited with free Audible. So I did the free Audible. I had heard really great things about this book, and it just wasn't it for me. I thought it was predictable. Like, the twists were not twisting. The twists were a straight line, if I'm being honest. You saw every single event in this book coming from a mile away. And Perla, the main character, absolutely despicable human being. Like, horrible. Hated her with a passion. Not it for me. But I've heard great things from other people, so maybe it's for you, just wasn't for me. So next, we have The Murder at the Vicarage by Agatha Christie. Agatha Christie always hits for me. I love her, huge fan of her work. This is the first in the Miss Marple series, and I plan on reading all of the Miss Marple books this year. I bought a box set of all 13 Miss Marple books for my Kindle. It was like $2, which is an amazing deal. However, then I realized, guess what? Each individual book in this series are all available on Kindle Unlimited, so I feel like a bit of a clown, but just know, I paid for these books. You don't have to. They're on Kindle Unlimited. But I gave this one a 4.75. This, like I said, it's Miss Marple, and the victim is found in the vicar's office. So It mainly follows the vicar, and Miss Marple's kind of like a side character in this one. She gets more prominent, I think, as the series goes on. But this is just like the introduction to her and how she solves murders by being a snoop. It's really fun. I love a cozy mystery, and this is definitely cozy. Then next we have not so cozy, Last Breath by Karen Slaughter. This one I read on my Kindle, and I gave it 4.25 stars. I really enjoyed it. It is a novella or short story. I don't really know the difference between what distinguishes it as a short story or a novella. But either way, it was like 130 something pages. It was very short. This is actually a prequel to The Good Daughter. However, I would read The Good Daughter first still, which is how I did it, because I didn't know this book existed, but I feel like The Good Daughter gave us all of the backstory that we need, and Last Breath really just hints at the backstory, and so I feel like you need to read The Good Daughter first to really know Charlie and understand some of her actions and decisions in Last Breath. So yeah, I would not read this as a prequel. I would read it second. But really, if you read it as a standalone, I'm sure it would be okay, but just in my opinion, I think Good Daughter first, then Last Breath. Then next we have my second and final physical book that I read in January, and this was on my TBR for a long time, and I had it sitting in my TBR stack for like, oh gosh, over a year, and I finally got to it. It really intimidated me, but I read Educated by Tara Westover. Wow. Like, I don't want to give too much away. Do check triggers, because this woman went through so much. Wow. The way her whole entire family gaslit her entire life. And like, this woman never went to public school until college. She never went to a hospital until college. The things she survived without going to a hospital, you have to read it. It was amazing. I am sorry that I put it off for so long, but I'm glad that I've read it now. Even if you're not into memoirs, I say still read that. But anyways, moving on. Next, we have The Queen of Poisons by Robert Thorogood. This is the third in the Marlowe mystery series. It follows Judith, Bex, and Susie, and these three aid the police in solving murders. I gave this one 3.5 stars. Not my favorite in the series. I did it on audio, and I'm glad I did. I did the second one on audio as well. I really like the narrator. She does a really good job. I wish that I wrote down her name. I'm sorry, but she's very good. In this one, Susie is at a town council meeting when the chair of the town council, Jeffrey, takes a sip of his coffee and just like keels over. And the way that it twists and turns and gives you red herrings and misdirection, it's very twisty. I think it's more twisty than his other 2 books in this series. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, it's not my ultimate favorite, but it was a fun listen. And then we have Because of Miss Bridgerton by Julia Quinn. This is the first in the Bridgerton prequel series, also I think known as the Rokesby series. I gave it 4.5 stars. I love the Bridgerton series. I love the Bridgerton universe. I'm very happy that there are additional books to keep me in this universe. Probably if you haven't read Bridgerton, this wouldn't be as exciting for you, but this follows Billy Bridgerton and George Rokesby, and it was just adorable. I read this on Kindle. I got the box set on Kindle. So yeah, it was cute. I liked it. Enjoyed. And then we come to my second DNF, which this is probably an unpopular opinion because I have seen pretty much only positive reviews on this book, but it wasn't for me. And that is Penance by Eliza Clark. The reason this wasn't for me is because I don't read anything paranormal. And she was talking about ghosts and haunting a lot. And I don't know if that ends up being the ultimate concept of the book. But even if it's not, I was still kind of bored by this book. It was just mostly a lot of backstory and lore to this fictional town. And I'm like, I really don't care about all of this backstory to this town that doesn't even exist, okay? This is written to look like a true crime documentary, and it was just way too much backstory on this town. I don't know. I found it really boring. So the nail in the coffin was how often it was talking about ghosts, but I probably would have DNF'd it anyway, honestly. I just wasn't enjoying it. Which I had it on Kindle, by the way. I'm trying to say how I read all of these books. That one was on Kindle. Actually, I think the rest of them are all on Kindle because I didn't listen to any audiobooks while I was on vacation either. So all of the rest of these will be Kindle books. But back on a more positive note, the next is The Body in the Library by Agatha Christie, the second in the Miss Marple series, technically a reread. I had the physical copy of this and I read it like years ago. I didn't remember anything about it, so even though it's technically a reread, we'll just count it as a first time through because I remembered absolutely zero about this book. One of Miss Marple's friends finds a body in her library. Mysterious. Doesn't know how it got there. Doesn't know who it is, where she came from. Not a clue. So she calls on Miss Marple to come help her solve the mystery. I gave it 4.5 stars. Again, available on Kindle Unlimited. Don't be a clown and buy the box set like I did. Just get it on KU. It was a fun time. All of her books are a fun time. I definitely recommend. And next, not so fun time. I did enjoy it, but not so fun time. The Asylum Confessions by Jack Steen. I give it 3.5. It wasn't my super favorite. It is on Kindle Unlimited. This whole series is. But this one was kind of interesting because I thought that it was fiction until I started reading it. It is not fiction. Actually, Jack Steen is the pseudonym for a nurse that works at an asylum. And all of the stories in this whole series are real deathbed confessions from killers. And check your trigger warnings. Some of these stories are very dark, and I feel like even reading these stories as fiction is not quite as triggering as knowing that these things really happened. No names or locations are given, but if you're familiar with the stories that he's telling, you can surmise who it is, but he just uses nicknames for each of the people. This is a heavy read, but it was also a quick read. It was entertaining, but just know it is not fiction. This is true stuff. Yeah, it was an interesting read. I will continue the series, but knowing that it's true I'll at least be prepared for the next one. And then lastly, the final book that I finished in January, The Crash by Frida McFadden. Who hasn't read this one in January, honestly? I read this on release day, and it's gotten really mixed reviews. I liked it. I gave it 4.5 stars. I think I probably liked it more because I was on a literal road trip when I read it. So that kind of like increased the tension because it's like, ooh, it's about a car crash. And I was actually in a car when I read it. I read it in one day. It was like so quick to get through. It was fun. Yeah, it's available on Kindle Unlimited. However, I pre-ordered it. Again, I'm a clown. I pre-ordered it thinking because I have Kindle Unlimited, it'll just put it in my library automatically when it releases. But I'm pretty sure I accidentally paid $5 for this book. So don't make that mistake. I mean, it's out now, but in the future, don't make that mistake. I'm pretty sure I did the same thing with her new book that was just announced, The Tenant. I pre-ordered that one thinking the same thing. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to pay $5 for that one too. But whatever. It's fine. It's Frida. I love Frida. So I don't mind owning her books, even though I don't have to. So yeah, The Crash. 4.5 stars. I liked it. A lot of people didn't. I did. Yes, the main characters were stupid and they made poor decisions. But you know what? I don't mind. So that is the end of the wrap-up. However, while I was on vacation, I did visit a bookstore. So I want to give you just like a little book haul. I didn't do a whole lot of book shopping on this vacation because it wasn't a book vacation. It was a vacation, and I also said, hey, I want to go to a cool local bookstore. That's one thing that I want to do while we're on vacation. So we did, and I chose a place called Verbatim Books in San Diego. It was really cool. If you are ever, if you live near or visiting San Diego, definitely look them up and go there. It was such a cool shop, and they had so many books. And it's like a mixture of vintage, new, used. They have like signed copies. Like, it was a really cool place. So definitely check it out. So I picked up 3 books while I was there. The first is The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. This, I had never heard of it, which surprises me because I enjoy classics and I enjoy mysteries. This is a classic mystery. It's like about, it says, on a moonlit road in Hampstead, Walter Hartwright is accosted by a stranger dressed from head to toe in white. She asks the way to London, and no sooner has Walter directed her than he is overtaken by a carriage in pursuit of the mysterious woman who has evidently escaped from an asylum. From this single incident, Walter unwinds a thrilling story of abduction, madness, false identity, and shameful family secrets. This is an 1860s Victorian sensation novel and detective story. How have I never heard of this before? This sounds amazing. So I want to jump into this one really soon. Yeah, that sounds great. The next I got My Absolute Darling by Gabriel Talent. This one sounded interesting, but I mainly picked it up because it is set in California, and I wanted to get something California while I was in California. So that's the main reason I picked this one up. This is, honestly, I don't remember what it's about, and the blurb on the back is really long, so I won't sit here and read it to you. But yeah, it sounded interesting when I read the back the first time. So, little California book for my California trip. And the third book that I got is Love and Hot Chicken by Mary Liza Hartong. I picked it because the cover is adorable. I love sunflowers, and also the name is funny. That's why I picked it. But I read the back and it does sound cute. It's like a little rivals romance. Yeah, I mainly picked it because I like the cover and the title. Sometimes you do pick a book by its cover, okay? And then the last thing that I got, and probably my favorite thing, is Verbatim Books is known for their famous for their tote bag. And like, how could I not? Look how cute that is. A cat laying on a book, like, 2 of my favorite things, cats and books. Yes, please. So of course I got this tote. And yeah, that completes my wrap up and my little vacation haul. So hopefully my next wrap up for February will be a little bit more cohesive because I'll be a little bit more prepared for it maybe. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and feel free to like, subscribe, comment, do all the things. So thanks for watching.